Hi, I'm Dan Hersey. I'm the son of the founder of Unison Colour, John Hersey. I'm here at Jackson's to talk about our wonderful business. It was my parents who started the business. My father was the artist and my mother was more the business side. So the real sort of root, the real start of the business was when they moved to Northumberland. My father was a charcoal artist mainly, but when they moved to Northumberland, he was very inspired by the colours of the landscape. So he really wanted to introduce colour to his work. And so the best way he found to do that was with pastel. But he couldn't find high quality pastel back in the 1980s. And there weren't many local art shops. So he decided to make his own for his own use. So that was really the sort of beginning of Unison Colour. And it was the landscape that he was inspired by, and it was the light. So I remember him talking about it with me. As the light through the day passed over the landscape, the colours would change according to the light. So he really tried to represent that in his colours. Another unique way that he approached it actually was that he didn't add black and white to get the tone. He added pigment to sort of deepen or lighten the colour. And that he worked from a sort of central colour of the colour group and worked out from that by adding more pigment. And this is all to sort of reflect the landscape that he saw. It's a very creative, very artistic sort of way of approaching it. Dad, after he'd worked away at his colours and creating the pastel, he came to the large size. So that was the size that we first took to shops. And Mum was saying that's because he had such big hands. Dad was a very tall guy with big hands. So that's what was really useful for him to use, was the large size pastel. But that's kind of developed now, actually. So we now have the small size. It was a Dutch retailer that suggested the small size near to when we first began. But I always think it was me when I was younger. I'm sure I suggested the small size. But anyway, so that has developed. And we still sell the large size, and that's actually still handwritten, the labels. But we also do now a sort of half stick size as well. So that has evolved. The sizes of the pastel has evolved, yeah. The production methods haven't changed at all, actually, much in the last 3 decades, which is great. That's what I love about it, because we're such a handmade business, and that's very much still the case today. We still use the same spoons to ladle out the pastel. We still use the same cutters. Maybe the one thing that has changed is we used to use pestle mortars, huge, great big pestle mortars that were very heavy, but they were too heavy to use, so we use Kenwood mixers. But other than that, no, we're exactly the same. The countryside of Northumberland, where Unison Colour is based, is a huge impact on the company. It's the inspiration for all the colours. So that's very much at the core of it. But also, to be in that location is important. Was very important for my parents, and also to bring employment. Actually, it's an area with low employment. So that's always been a core value as well of the business. The cottage industry is, again, the core value of what we are. It's the basis, it's where we started. So we very much want to keep that at the heart of what we do going forward.